Welcome to the Evolvepreneur AI Advantage Show. And I'm your host, Richard Wray. My mission is to help entrepreneurs understand AI and use it to their advantage. Join me today where we dig deep with our guest and get you the best concepts and strategies. Today's special guest is Scott Gabdullin. Scott is a marketing expert and entrepreneur who has a proven track record of turning the trickle of prospects into a roaring cascade of business opportunities. His expertise isn't just in understanding the funnel, but in optimizing and expanding it, ensuring businesses not only compete but thrive. Today, we're talking about AI to help with lead generation. Scott, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Richard. It's great to be part of the show.
Really great to have you here, Scott. And as I always ask my guests, Scott, where in the world are you?
I am in Toronto, Canada right now.
A beautiful part of the world. I speak to so many Canadians. I'm going to have to go there at some point. So it's something I have to do.
You definitely should. I think it's a great country, lots to see. Definitely, Toronto is not just the only place, but all over the country. And I think it's some of the friendliest people in the world.
It's all about the poutine. Right. Let's get into this. So, Scott, tell us a little bit about yourself and your company and the sort of work that you do.
Yeah, so I consider myself to be a multipreneur. I have a number of different companies, but every single one focused primarily on digital marketing. So that's a core focus of what we offer and what we do.
Mhm.
And we offer digital marketing, primarily SEO, content marketing, search marketing for enterprise level, as well as to small to medium sized businesses. The offering changes slightly depending on who we're working with. But it's all goes back to just generating revenue for the businesses, no matter the size, because in my opinion, that's the most important thing that marketing is supposed to do as a service for the business. Seeing that bottom line growing over time.
Very interesting. So, tell me about how you're using AI to help with this process.
Yes, so AI has taken over marketing by storm, I would say, this year. There's been a lot of things going on, and for us as an agency, one of the our agencies basically offers content marketing as a service. We definitely saw uh, a danger coming up on the horizon a little bit in terms
Hmm.
of a lot of businesses kind of refocusing and reprioritizing their content budgets and actually spending more on generating content in-house, perhaps using AI, whereas human written content has become less of a priority. So we had to learn from that, see if we needed to pivot, but
Hmm.
definitely implementing a lot of the AI practices ourselves in some of the parts of our business. So as I mentioned, we have a couple of businesses. So one is Lero, which primarily focused on small to medium sized businesses. That's where AI integration is greatest for us, and there is really no concern around using AI because all our leads basically get generated through SEO or SEM via the websites that we own. Whereas when we focus on enterprise level businesses, we still stay true to 100% human written content. AI is part of the research process. We use it to dig deeper into the topics. It simplifies things. It makes them, it saves time, but we just do not really trust AI content just yet. And we can go deeper into reasons why, but that's kind of where we stand right now.
So, if I'm hearing that right, depending on the speed and the financial value of the client, and I'm not
Yes.
saying this in a negative way, you are using AI for, say, some of the lower tier clients, but on the major enterprise accounts, you're still doing that lovingly handcrafted artistry that is, the human being writing something.
Exactly. So when it comes to enterprise clients, a lot of them are looking for services, right? They're
Hmm.
okay with monthly service, a 12 months retainer. So the budgets are larger. And as a result, when you do something with them, you're working on their website. So when you work on someone else's website, there's a lot of responsibility that comes with it, and
Hmm.
taking risk by producing AI content and putting it on someone else's site while we're still not sure how Google would respond to it over the long term is just too much of a risk for us to accept. So we know that human written content works 100%. We don't do it the same way we've always done in terms of integrating brand voice and the messaging and everything that has to do with the brand into the copy, and risk is just dropped significantly. However, when we work with small businesses, we don't offer them service. We don't do SEO every month for them on their website. What we do instead is we let them buy leads from us. So a small business to medium sized business, they would come to us and they would say, hey, I want to buy a package of 10 leads. I want to buy a package of 50 leads. Where those leads are coming from, it doesn't matter, right? So
No.
it's not coming through their website. We don't touch their website. We don't produce content for their site. All the content that we produce is on our own our own properties, our own landing pages, our own ads, whether it's Google, whether it's Facebook. So AI is heavily integrated into that because we take risk with our own websites and our own landing pages, and nothing is no responsibility whatsoever to the client at the end of the day, except just to deliver a phone call. And clients love it. They truly they love getting a phone call and not focusing and kind of too much on, hey, when are you going to deliver them? Is this service? When you're going to deliver them? Is that service? What did you do yesterday? So it simplifies the entire process for us.
So through the effort that you put into your own website, you have a
Yeah.
pool of possible leads. A company will come along to you and say,
Mhm.
"Hey, this is the sort of work that I do. Can you give me leads that would link up with that?" Yeah,
Exactly. That's it. Yes.
perfect. I mean, I really like that as an approach. It takes away all the headaches, and if you've got those leads sat there ready to go, this has to be a very fast process for the end customer.
Oh, it's 48 hours. They come to us as soon as the invoice is paid. It's 48 hours for them to start see phone calls coming through. So everything is already set up on our end. There's a lot of automation. We do use AI as well as part of automation, whether it's chatbots and whatnot on our own properties to speed up the process of actually qualifying the leads.
Mhm.
But to the end customer, it's literally just paying the invoice. 2 days later, at max, they start to see phone calls or messages receiving from us, basically saying, "Hey, here's the leads. They're looking for you to reach out to them."
That's really cool. The concept of actually using chatbots to,
Yep.
validate and qualify those leads. What sort
Yes.
of results are you seeing there?
It's a mixed bag for now. So to be honest, the reason why is because it gets quite expensive. So what happens a lot of times is that when you integrate an AI chatbot into the process, they tend to provide very lengthy answers,
Mhm.
right? So you have to put some restraints and guardrails in order to limit the number of credits that are being spent on actual communication with someone who is a potential lead. They're not even a lead yet. They didn't make a phone call. They didn't submit a form just yet. So we're still playing around with it, and obviously the results are somewhat mixed. And the other problem is the data set. If they're trained, or if it's just something that's based on ChatGPT and whatnot, then their data set is just too large.
Mhm.
There's just too much information. So we are playing around with the idea of actually building our own chatbots based on our own data sets or our own data. So produce, PDFs, processes, sales documents, conversations, phone calls, feeding that into the system just so that it's more focused and just this very, very specialized bot in the first place rather than something that's generic.
You're one of the first and few people that have actually said to me using AI, using a chatbot is actually
Mhm.
very expensive or can be expensive. Normally,
Yeah.
people try and make out that AI is this magic wand that you can wave and suddenly everything gets done. Was this a surprise to you?
It was and it wasn't. I think that there was a lot of hype around the idea that AI can do just about anything,
Mhm.
in a way, it can do a lot, but it's not true artificial intelligence. It's not.
It's
It's
not
just
general intelligence just yet.
not just yet. It regurgitates a lot of stuff that it kind of has the information on. So quite a bit of a unique angle is missing there. And obviously the fact that you have to pay for the credits, you won't know what it's gonna be like until you actually try and test it. Just because you don't know how the users on your website will actually engage with the chatbot, right? What kind of questions will they be asking? So there's a lot of lessons that we're learning along the way, and at some points we're just wondering maybe perhaps we should just hit a pause on it, just because the quality of the leads ends up being similar to what it used to be without a chatbot for now. But it's an interesting experiment. It's just for us to kind of try around, play around with it. We are geeks, we're nerds. We like to test things out as they come out and see how it works, as long as it's risk fully on ourselves and not on our clients. But other than that, it's more of an experiment.
Do you see some of the developments that have happened recently, say OpenAI's GPTs, where you can actually add in additional context, additional
Yeah.
data to say, hey, focus on this area? Is that
Yeah.
going to help you, or are you looking at truly creating something in house?
It We'd like to, I think, create something in-house. ChatGPT and the GPTs that they came out with, they're great. We use Chat. Personally, I use ChatGPT literally every hour of the day.
Mhm.
Right, all the different types of research that we do with ChatGPT. That being said, GPTs still feel quite generic in that, and it's only been what, a couple of weeks since
Yeah, it's not
they
very long at
released.
all, maybe a month tops, and then we had that little bit of fun with the CEO.
Yeah, being fired, being hired.
I'm not sure what the
So
status is at the moment. Hired, fired, where is he? It's
I don't know. He hasn't called me just yet to say that to celebrate the being back. But yeah, when I played around with the GPTs, it still felt like a regular Chat GPT,
Mhm.
even though there is schema that you can add into it. That's the next step for us to really test it out. But again, uh, so far, I think going something that's in house is a better approach. It's a little bit more controlled, and it's more up to date, I would say, because the ChatGPT is, I think, up to April this year.
Yeah.
So they definitely have caught up quite a bit. But being on time, being real time in terms of the information that the bot has is quite important for us.
Okay. So earlier in the conversation, you mentioned that, over this last year, there's been this deluge of people using AI in the
Yeah.
marketing world and
Yeah.
people bringing the spend inside. Have you run into ex customers, so we say, or have you seen examples where customers have gone, "Hey, I can do this all with AI," and then they come back and go, wasn't quite as good as I thought it was going to be."
So a lot of clients wanted to try it out.
Mhm.
And as an agency on record, our recommendation was always sit it out and wait and see. So a lot of clients took that advice, and they actually continued with the service of using human written content by us.
Mhm.
That's what I'm talking about, right? Enterprise, large,
Yes.
software as a service companies,
Yeah.
e-commerce, where it's really revenue performance driven brands. So as we're seeing now, what's happening is that yes, you can produce content at scale with AI. However, it still needs quite a bit of a human touch. So if you're taking the content produced by ChatGPT or by Koala or
Mhm.
ZimWriter, whichever other writing tool, what's going to happen is that if you post that as is, there's likely to be a spike in traffic from SEO, but then you inevitably is going to see a drop eventually. Okay, so there needs to be
So I've
human.
got to just got to dive in there. Why do you say
Yes,
inevitably you see a drop?
because a lot of the case studies that we've seen so far, and there's been actually one on fire on Twitter just today. Someone posted how they published thousands of pages,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
they basically drove millions of visits to their site. What's happened is that they saw a huge spike, and then it's just dropped from there, right? So we've seen numerous case studies where that happens. Lots of content being published because
Well,
you
why do
can.
you think that's happening? Because
Google
if they've
detects
got
it.
Google detected it.
Yeah, so it's I don't want to speak for Google, and I want to say that
Mhm.
that's
No, of
exactly
course.
what happens, but that's what it feels like, is that Google is able to detect when that content is actually not is just AI written, 100% AI written, and they're able to basically take whatever they gave to that site in terms of the traffic, take it back, and throw the hammer on top of it.
Unless
So
maybe they're
that's
using a Google AI to actually write that copy.
they might be, yeah.
Now,
I think that's
maybe one day.
I think I've seen some folks testing out the using Google's one, and I was like, if Google knows they wrote it, I don't know if that's a good idea to use it on your site, even if Google says so.
See, this is
Yeah.
very interesting in that we, I think we're both seeing there's almost a Wild West feel to a lot of what's
Yeah.
going on. It's happening so quickly
Yes.
that people are trying things and we're never quite sure why the results are
Uh-huh.
happening like they do.
Yeah. No, there's no sure way to know why, but what I do always recommend is that if you're gonna do something like this, test it. Right?
Mhm.
Test it in some kind of a controlled environment on a property that you don't care about. Probably do not bring it to the clients if you're an agency or if you're freelance or an entrepreneur. It's probably not a good idea, unless there is a lot of heavy editing. So something that happens on my team, I have editors and I have writers, right? And whenever we talk about AI content, my editor, she looks at the content and right away both of us can see when it's AI written. Right. So sometimes you'll get a writer who's trying to take a shortcut.
Mhm.
So you can just sense the voice, the chat GPT voice in it. You can see it, you can feel it, right? You don't need a third party tool to detect it. It just becomes obvious. It's too perfect. It flows. There's certain words that are being used, a certain way of structuring sentences. And so if we can feel it that way, if we can notice it as just by scanning through the article, it's probably detectable by tools. Now, the difficult part is doing it at scale. And that's the problem that Google is facing, is that they can see the content, they can understand what's going on, but when you've got so much of it in the web, that becomes a problem of just not having enough resources. And this is what I think the shortcuts are work in the short term. And then eventually Google catches up. And then once they're able to process all the information, it starts to drop. So yeah, I love testing. My background
Mhm.
is in electrical and computer engineering. I'm all for testing as much as is possible. And but yes, take it with a bit of a caution, and make sure that whatever you're doing, you accept the responsibility for it.
What's been the most surprising thing about AI for you in a positive sense?
How much time it's able to save us in terms of research, right? In terms of processing even spreadsheets. So
Mhm.
what we are like we're very much interested in doing right now is to actually communicate directly with journalists, right? So what journalists look for is they look for interesting stories.
Okay.
So when they look for interesting story, that means that most of the time it needs to focus quite a bit on data. Otherwise, the stories might be human angle to it, but data makes it really stand out. So when we are able to take data, let's say from Google, in terms of the searches happening, spikes in searches happening across particular parts of the world, or particular topics or products, and then present it to a journalist, the analysis is the hardest part. So if we just throw it to ChatGPT, ask it for quick insights on what they're seeing in terms of the data, the insights are fascinating. It saves us time, and it saves us kind of the need to find someone who is a data analyst or data engineer and have them full time on the team. And the only thing we have to do is just go and kind of check, make sure that everything is correct, all the conclusions are correct, the numbers are actually being interpreted the way they should be. That's what we really are excited about when using ChatGPT, is primarily analyzing the data as well as doing research. So, we launch our own brands, and sometimes we want to make sure that when we write about something, we want to actually have statistics in the articles.
Mhm.
So, ChatGPT and AI tools are able to quickly come up with a list of interesting stats about what's going on in terms of research papers. And then we go and dive deeper into those research papers. We go and read the numbers and make sure that we integrate them into our own copy.
So it does sound there like as an in-house tool
Yeah,
to assist your team, it can be
exactly.
fantastic. I mean, and we're not just ChatGPT. Obviously, there's a whole variety of AI tools out there.
Yeah,
But so far as front of house, so far
yeah.
as going out to the public, it's not quite there.
Not for us.
Not for you. No, this is what I
Not,
mean. Exactly for you. For a
yeah,
lot of people, they're going, "Oh, I can just put
yeah,
this out and it's all good."
yeah.
But it sounds like you actually have seen a difference in quality between what
100%.
ChatGPT. So
Yeah.
are the public also picking up on these, even subconsciously? They may not know why they don't feel right about it, but they just don't feel right about it.
I s- um, I think that eventually they will. I think
Mhm.
that you and I kind of exist in this technology world where we pretty much see ChatGPT news and AI news all day long
Constantly.
on Twitter, and everybody we talk to talks about it. But when I talk to small business owners, they don't even know about AI. They think that they heard something about it, but when I
Mhm.
show them what ChatGPT can do, they're like, "What is this?
Their
I've
minds
never
are
used
blown.
it."
Yeah.
Their minds are blown, and that I think that's 95, 98% of the population right now. They're truly not aware. So when they see something that's being produced by ChatGPT or by any AI tool out there, they think it's great, right? They think it's good. So for them it's new and it's exciting. For us, when we spend so much time analyzing it and being exposed to it, it becomes kind of we start to see the actual holes in it,
Mhm.
and be able to take it apart, and obviously understand the dangers associated with just working with pure AI output and doing something with it, whether it's producing content or whether it's sending out emails to journalists and whatnot. Outputs like that could be detected if you've seen it enough times.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me a little bit of when we moved from albums and CDs to pure
Yeah,
digital music over the internet. The
yeah,
audio quality wasn't as good, but then a generation came along who just didn't care.
Yeah.
Is there a
That's
danger of that in your world?
There is potentially a danger of that. I think that AI can have dangerous impact in terms of video content,
Mhm.
deep fakes,
Yep.
right? And when something goes viral on TikTok, we don't really know if someone actually said what they said, and whether the content we're watching is a true human or not. I mean, the number of videos where filters applied to a person and they look completely different. You don't know what you're saying is actually true and honest. So I think that's where the biggest dangers lie. And if someone has not been exposed enough to AI and what AI is capable of, they could take it at face value, and that can have significant impact. So yeah, I can see a lot of dangers with it. And but again, our job is to educate our clients. Our job is to make sure we
Mhm.
protect their interests. So we do that all the time, as much as we can. But at the end of the day, it's their decision. If they decide to do something, it's they take responsibility for it.
Are there any common mistakes you see any level, enterprise, individual entrepreneur, making when it comes to AI?
Relying too heavily on it and forgetting about your own brand or your own voice. Right. So the idea that AI can do anything is quite dangerous, and it's very easy to become addicted to it. So it becomes a lazy man's way of just getting the work done.
Mhm.
And I think that's the greatest danger that I see with a lot of folks these days. And yeah, even for us, anytime we're writing an email, it's like, well, can I just ask ChatGPT to write this? Right. So it becomes quite addictive and quite dangerous in that way.
So do you see there's potential for skills to atrophy? They're actually, people will stop using their own abilities, start using whatever AI tool it is. I'm not going to pick on ChatGPT too much,
Yeah.
but then they kind of those skills get rusty.
It can be. It can be a tool for good, and it can be a tool for bad. But I think those who were already taking shortcuts will just use a tool for another shortcut. And those who are hungry for knowledge and hungry to learn and hungry to improve will see AI tools as a way to improve further and become even more efficient. So I think that has always been the differentiator between people. Is that there are certain folks who will take shortcuts, and there are certain folks who always try to improve. And AI will definitely help the second group. AI will make them much more self-reliant. I think the age of solopreneurs
Mhm.
is just around the corner now. With AI, we are able to do jobs of 3 to 5 different people, right? And it doesn't have to be really in-depth research papers and whatnot. It's just getting stuff done, quick analysis, being quick on your feet, but then still using your own intelligence, your own decision making, your own making your own conclusions as to what you're getting back from the AI tool itself.
So
So
it sounds like human nature, it's just going to stay the same. So, if you're somebody who's going to take shortcuts, you'll take shortcuts. If you're going to make that effort, you make that effort. You just happen to be using AI to do both those jobs.
100%. Yes.
Fantastic.
It's very difficult to shake off of old habits. I don't
Hey, if
think
you've been
AI
doing it,
will be able to fix that.
if you've been doing it for decades, then
Yeah,
it's very difficult to change these things.
for sure.
So, Scott, if there was one piece of advice you would want people to take away from our conversation today, what would it be?
f- um, always try to figure out what is your brand, right? So what is your brand, what is your voice, and what makes you unique.
Mhm.
And then when it comes to AI, if you're going to use it, make sure that you integrate that uniqueness into whatever you're putting out there into the world in terms of your website, your videos, your podcasts, your content, whether it's written or anything else. Because that's what really makes companies, businesses, people stand out, right? We don't gravitate, we don't connect with others purely based on what the generic information that's being provided, but rather that unique angle, that opinion that someone has. And if it doesn't come through very clearly through the content that you're producing, I think you're leaving yourself at disadvantage.
That is very, very good advice. Scott, where can people find you and what exciting projects do you have on the horizon that they need to know about?
So you can find me at scottgabdullin.com. I'm involved with quite a few different businesses. You can read about some of them on the website. And interesting projects that we are working on are actually expanding our portfolio of traditional boring businesses. We are looking to partner up with more tree service, landscaping companies, and companies like that because we see actually a lot of opportunity in those niches in the age of AI. AI is doing a lot of damage in marketing world, in my opinion, but you still need a plumber, you still need an electrician, you still need someone to come in and cut that tree down. And I love those niches. I love working with people who are running businesses in home services and local businesses.
That makes complete sense. And in Canada, you're not short of trees.
No, plenty of that for sure.
Hey, Scott, thank you for a really insightful conversation. There's some great advice and some great examples in there. So thanks for your time today.
Thank you.
Well, that's a wrap on another awesome guest episode for the Evolvepreneur AI Advantage Show. Just before you go, if you'd like this episode, we would be very grateful for a 5-star review. Please also consider recommending the show to a friend or two. Make sure you subscribe for future episodes at aiadvantage.show right now. Until next time, I'm Richard Wray, and if you're an entrepreneur, get the AI advantage today.